Ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning. How many of you can remember a really memorable conversation? By a show of hands, please. Now, I want you to think back to that conversation. What makes it so special? How does it differentiate from your everyday talks? The answer lies in a connection. See, a true conversation always connects two people one way or another. However, due to social media, people today are losing this ability to connect. They have attention spans shorter than ever and opinions that they would die for, that they didn't even form themselves. They lack empathy, presence, and most important of all, introspection. Qualities that are essential to be able to hold a conversation today. This is why I believe that the art of communication is dying and in dire need of a revival. Let me show you an example between two parties who aren't listening to each other. On one hand, we have a son who, even after going on multiple job interviews, still can't get a job. And on the other hand, we have his parents who are growing worried every single day. Every week they call him to get an update, but he has no update to give. This frustrates him as he doesn't like to be reminded of the fact that he can't get a job. Now, in such a situation, a conversation between these two parties would leave them feeling disconnected. Now, how can we fix this? To do that, let us take a look at a conversation in two phases. Phase 1, effective listening, and Phase 2, effective speaking. What is meant by effective listening? It means to be able to understand and comprehend the feelings and opinions of the other person without any judgment. It requires empathy, and empathy goes far beyond just simple sympathy. You must imagine yourself in the other person's shoes and think, what would you have done? Only then can you truly understand them. The second step to effective listening is called reflective listening. In this, you basically repeat whatever the person has said back to them. It creates this feeling of validation and a sense that you are listening to them. Not only does this clarify their points to you, but also, whenever somebody hears something that they have just said, they might realize that they don't actually agree with that. Now, let me show you an example of effective listening. Let's take a prompt. I have nothing to do. Now, our first instinct would be to try to sympathize with them, give your opinion, or try to solve their problem for them. But, contrary to popular belief, that is not the correct way to go about it. Instead, you must validate their feelings and inquire about it. See, in a good conversation, you must do 80% of the listening and 20% of the speaking. This brings me to my second point, effective speaking. To do effective speaking, you must first understand yourself. You should look at your mind from a third-person perspective and analyze your thoughts and opinions. You must cultivate the habit of sitting for long hours without any distractions and just thinking. Thinking about your thoughts, your feelings, analyzing every single thing and taking it all in. The second step is to be able to communicate this. Now, this wouldn't be so hard at this point in the conversation because you would have been listening to the other person for quite some time. And they would be willing to listen to you. But to make whatever you say as effective as it can be, let me show you a format. Your first sentence should start out with their viewpoint. Yes, you heard me right. Even when you are the one speaking, you should start out with their viewpoint. It is because if the other person doesn't feel like you have understood them and listened to them completely, they will not listen to you. Then you move on to your perspective, your opinions, and how you feel on the matter. And finally, you end it all off with your point. The point you have been trying to communicate this entire time. The whole point of the conversation. Now, if all this is done in the correct order, then a good conversation would look something like this. The parents would ask, have you gotten a job yet? And the son would reply with, hey, I know you're worried about me, and I know it bothers you every day. I would have done the same if I was in your shoes. But I want you to know, whenever you ask me about my job, it makes me feel incompetent and frustrated that I can't get a job yet. So could you please stop asking me about it? And I'll be sure to let you know as soon as I get an update. And then their reply would look something like this. Now, as you can see, both parties have listened to each other. They have truly empathized with each other. And this is what a true conversation looks like. To end it all off, let me give you a formula to practice in your daily life. Reflective talking plus empathy plus reflective listening gives you the ability to truly communicate. Let us all practice this in our daily life and make talking to each other ever more interesting. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Communication Reimagined. Thank you.